One thing I have had to learn as a new homeschool mom is to embrace the mess. We live on a small farm where we raise laying hens, pigs, meat chickens, and grow a garden, and we tend to be in and out of the house a lot. And the kids really enjoy time outside, which I want them to. But we bring in dirt and mess with us, and we also have started homeschooling. And so our days are spent crafting and learning around the kitchen table, which you can imagine creates a pretty big mess by the time we are done. At first, this was a bit of an adjustment for me. I like things to be neat and tidy, but I had to learn to embrace the mess and to love my home in the here and now. So that's what I'm focusing in on this week. I believe I have mentioned this before, but our home is between 1,200 and 1,300 square feet up top, and we are a family of 5. So we do have a basement, but it's not finished right now. So most of all of our items are upstairs, and I have to be extremely intentional about what I allow into my home, and then also purging things from time to time whenever it feels like it's becoming too cluttered, and also where I put things and how I organize the items that we do have. While I don't love the fact that all of our homeschool items are currently in the corner of our kitchen in a cube organizer, this is just practical and needed right now. This is our first year homeschooling, and we are still getting into a routine and a rhythm, figuring out how everyone learns best. We gather around the kitchen table and do our schoolwork and crafting, and we eat and play games. And while we were doing that, and I was feeling a little frustrated about the mess one day after we were finished, I really just thought to myself that we have a lived-in home where memories are being made and our family bond is growing and we are safe and warm. So I told myself I would embrace the mess in this season and do my best to organize and keep things in check along the way. One of the areas that tends to become cluttered with shoes is obviously our entry in front of the door. With all of our mini shoes, as you can imagine, with a family of 5, we all have plenty of shoes. And some of the shoes I don't mind to leave out that we wear often or we need to slip on to run outside, like boots and things like that. But our tennis shoes that don't get worn as often, and Crocs and other shoes like church shoes, I like to keep up in our closets and shoe organizers so that we can get them down, and when we're ready to go to town or go to church or somewhere else, this keeps the shoes up off of the floor and out of the way, and it helps me keep that area swept and picked up. And I've learned that creating homes for these items like shoes and books and crafts and toys and things like that, creating specific homes for them, that really helps me stay organized. And it's still a daily battle and a daily task to keep everything picked up and put in its specific home, but at least I do have a place where I know that it needs to go. And whenever that specific home is starting to get too crowded, that's whenever I start to go through our stuff and purge things and get rid of things. In today's society, I think as homemakers and mothers, we see so much of the perfect presentation, so to speak, and that's just not life behind the curtain. There is a lot of work that happens in homemaking and in motherhood that is essentially unseen, and I believe that social media has stolen our joy and stolen our gratitude of the homes that we have been blessed with. I think it's funny, but every time I start thinking that I want a different vehicle, I always go straight to the car wash and give it a nice wash and vacuum. And when I leave the car wash, I'm reminded of how much I like my vehicle, and I appreciate it more when I have put the effort in to actually clean it and tidy it up. It runs and it gets me safely where I need to go, and that's really all I need out of a vehicle. And the same goes for our homes that we have in the here and now season of our lives. These homes are providing shelter for our families and safe gathering place for them. And how we steward our homes will reflect in the contentment that we feel about them. And just like my vehicle, when I clean and organize my home and get rid of items I essentially don't need and organize my space, it feels less cluttered and messy, and it allows me to feel that sense of gratitude and contentment for it right now. I try to keep a realistic perspective of my home and how it functions and what I can do daily to keep it calm and orderly. Just like the seasons in life, the day brings about 10 different seasons with it as well. There are just certain times in the day where my home is not going to be calm and orderly, like when I am homeschooling 3 children at my kitchen table, or when I'm cooking a from scratch family meal, or after I've hosted a large family gathering. My home is not going to be perfectly put together and neat and tidy, but there is also certain times of the day when I can appreciate the neatness and tidiness of my home, like in the early morning hours after I've woke up. I enjoy waking up to a clean and tidy home, and then an hour or so before bed, because in the evening time I'll spend a little bit of time picking up and cleaning up to get the home ready for the day. But I like to think of my home like a working office or an operating factory. Our homes serve many purposes, like feeding our families, schooling our children for some of us, raising farm animals, and the list can go on and on. It's a functioning piece of our lives, and I'm the manager of its function. And I want it to be operating properly, and I want to accept that at times it will not look like perfection, but when it's not looking like perfection, it is most likely in its operating mode, and that serves my family and myself. We have really tried to pull back from an excessive amount of toys and focused in on having more craft supplies easily available for the kids to play with. I have an entire cabinet in the living room that is full of crafting supplies that the kids can get out and drag over to the kitchen table or to the coffee table and craft. Many times we can just toss whatever crafted items out after just a little bit and then they can keep on creating new projects. So I save old paper towel and toilet paper rolls and containers, boxes, and they have so much fun crafting with those supplies and will spend hours working on their own projects. And then for the toys that we do have, I only keep what I know that they actually want to play with and use. And a lot of that is Legos and Lincoln Logs and magnetic tiles and Tinker Toys, because you can do many different things with only just even a small amount of toys. And so I also have really tried to create spaces in our home, like with the reading nook and with the box of books that we get, and we rotate those from the library just to kind of keep them engaged in reading different things. And then I of course love to have and collect all of my cookbooks, but I really just tried to simplify areas in our home and simplify the way that our home functions with less toys and more crafting, and kind of pulling back even from excessive amounts of decorating. I, for Christmas this year, just decided to pull back a little bit and do a little bit less and kind of take a more minimal approach, because I have a lot of other things that I want to focus in on, and trying to put up a lot of decorations and take down a lot of decorations, it just takes a lot more time. And so I think just the simple approach of decorating for Christmas and appreciating what this season is truly about, which is Jesus Christ's birth, and appreciating that is what I want to come through whenever we do celebrate Christmas this year. And order to love my home in the here and now, I want to make sure that I am implementing routines and schedules that allow me to enjoy our home as a family. And if I allow the cleaning and the general upkeep to fall away from our routine or our schedule, it's definitely going to bother me. I like to stay on top of my cleaning and household tasks, and while it's not always easy, it is an essential part of the upkeep of our home for our family to run smoothly and efficiently. So I do our laundry every single day. We have one load at least a day to wash and one load a day to fold and put away. And I was thinking about being content with what we have and how we are constantly bombarded with more stuff, even towels. As I was folding my towels, I was thinking about how that they didn't match and that they didn't look, perfect. And I was just thinking that I don't need a perfect set of towels. These absolutely do what they're supposed to do, dry us off after we get out of a hot, clean shower. And instead of going into debt to try to buy new things constantly or to make everything match and to make things look perfect or to have a perfectly remodeled or up-to-date home, I think that that's kind of what our society pushes on us now, is that, everything needs to look a certain way and everything needs to just be perfect. And, it starts to get into us and it starts to get into our hearts, and it causes us to feel discontent and unhappy with our homes, and maybe even unhappy with our homemaking. And then that kind of bleeds out into other areas of our life. And so I want to make the intentional choice of choosing to be content and choosing to love my home for the here and now, and to think of all of the positive things I can come up with in my mind about our home, and shift my perspective to be grateful for what we have right here and right now, and for the love that we have within our family, the health that we have within our family. And we were listening to a church sermon the other Sunday, and our pastor was speaking about how the women would have to go wherever village he was at. They have to go and get clean water every single day. They have to take a really long walk to get their clean water, and then they carry it back in these huge buckets on their heads. And it really made me think about how blessed that we are in our country and in our society, that we have clean running water at the touch of our hand in an absolute instant. We are not having to travel miles and bring back clean water daily for our home, because that was the task of the woman in that culture, in that area of the world. And so when we really start to think about those things and shift our perspective, it really changes the way that we view our homes and the contentment that we can feel in our hearts for our homes and for our families. So when I'm starting to feel zero motivation to get up and get started with my daily homemaking tasks, those are the things I try to remind myself of. I try to shift my thoughts to I get to do this instead of I have to do this. And when we start seeing our lives through that lens, it helps us so incredibly much to feel more joy and to be more grateful and to appreciate what we have been blessed with, and not feel this sense of always needing more or better. I'm not always perfect at this by any means myself, but it is something that I have been trying to focus on. It really helps me so very much. And one day when we look back on our lives as homemakers and mothers, all of the things we thought we had to have will not be what matters or stands out to us. None of this stuff is what we're going to remember. It will be the loved ones around us and those that we shared our homes with. Not the homes themselves, not the items within the homes themselves, not even the way that your home was kept or looked or how clean or tidy it was. It will be the memories that you made within the walls of that home, the people that you shared your home with. And I really hope that you all enjoyed this video and that it can help you in your own homemaking and your own family to shift your thoughts and to help you find joy in homemaking and in motherhood again, because I feel like that is something that we're really struggling with through the eyes of social media. And I want you all to have that joy and have that love for your family that you deserve to have and share with those around you.